Jim the Ape One Proof. Hello again, humans. It is I, Jim the Ape, and while I've recently been thinking about revamping my channel and doing videos on topics that differ from what I usually discuss, I find that I keep going back to the same topics. Mostly because the same kinds of stupidity continue to exist in the world and it pisses me off every time I see it. But I think I may have found a way to do something a little different while still keeping the core topic in familiar territory. So it's different, but it's still the same. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, that brings us to the topic of today's video. Doom. I love Doom. The original came out in 1993 when I was just 4 years old, and while I don't remember how long it was between that time and when I first played the game, I know I enjoyed it once I did. I mean, how could I not? It's a game where you play as a space marine going around blowing demons in half with an assortment of firearms. What's not to love? Then there was the sequel, Doom 2, Hell on Earth, and that was excellent as well. There were some games in the franchise that I never played, like Doom 64 and Doom RPG, but I always had a general love for the series, including Doom 3, which was the worst game in the franchise in my opinion, mostly due to its massive tonal shift into the dimly lit zombie/alien horror territory, despite still being about shooting demons. But even that one still had the familiar enemy types and weapons of the classic games, it just put them into a different context. So despite being my least favorite, I even like that one. Then there came the same name reboot game of Doom that was released in 2016. It corrected the massive tonal shift of Doom 3 and brought the series back to what it should always be about, tearing your way through horde after horde of demons with merciless violence and bloody brutality. It was probably the best game that came out that year, and was certainly the best shooter in the past decade, especially with stale, repetitive drivel like Call of Duty, Battlefield, Gears of War, and as much as I liked the series, Halo flooding the market. It was refreshing to finally play a shooting game that didn't want me to shoot one guy and then hide behind cover for 10 minutes while my health regenerates from the 25 other enemies for which I would then have to repeat the process. And it was even better to finally play a modern Doom game that didn't want me to shoot one demon and then go cry in a corner hoping to find some health pickups or armor in the process. Actually, quick side note, in Doom 3 you get armor and you get health, just like in all the other games, but I also noticed that health starts draining from hits before your armor is depleted, which begs the question, then what the fuck is the point of the armor? You can literally die and still have armor intact. I don't know. Anyway, Doom 2016 isn't like that at all. It's fast-paced, the game offers you mechanics to regain ammo, health, and even armor during combat through particular kinds of kills, and the best of all, the armor has to deplete before you start losing health. I highly recommend playing it if you haven't already. It might be the best game in the series, except for maybe the admittedly short VR version, which is nothing shy of amazing, especially with the PSVR aim controller. Nothing makes me feel like more of a badass than ripping and tearing through demons in VR. It even manages to cheer me up at times when I'm feeling depressed. Not that it'll do that for everyone, mind you, but it works for me. Anyway, none of that is why I'm making this video. This is all just the setup for the main point of this video, and I know it's taking a while, but just trust me, we're almost there. So enter the next game in the series, the yet-to-be-released Doom Eternal, which had a little teaser debut at E3, and then a much longer gameplay reveal at QuakeCon. I watched the entire 25-minute presentation on YouTube, and I have to say that this game looks like it was designed from the ground up with the singular purpose of making me with ultra-violent nostalgic glee. With its blend of classic designs for enemies, weapons, and pickups, updated to blend into the detail-rich environments, combined with the new and exciting gameplay mechanics that make use of new weapons, which are also used in gloriously brutal kills, which are coincidentally called glory kills, I already can't wait to play this game, and I'm sold on the idea of pre-ordering it so that I can do so as humanly, or demonically, possible. But not everyone was as excited as I was after the gameplay trailer was revealed, for you see, said footage contained something that could be called, in ancient times, a joke. And you all know we don't allow those anymore! So what was this joke, and why did people get offended by it? Calm your tits, Speed Racer, I'm getting to that. But I'm going to provide context that the offended squad either didn't know about or chose to ignore. You see, in the Doom games, there's this big corporation called the UAC, or Union Aerospace Corporation. They like long walks on the beach, advanced weapons technology, and opening portals to alternate dimensions full of warmongering monster-like creatures who will no doubt slaughter all their people, but hey, they're having an energy crisis, and the demons have, how did Chief Palpatine put it again? Yes, that's it. So this corporation not only has the worst plan for renewable energy anyone has ever seen, but they also lack the manpower to fight off the hordes of murderous monsters that they would have to take it from. And by the time Doom Eternal rolls around, the demonic invasion is no longer contained to just a small space station on Mars. No, despite the Doom Slayer's tireless demon-killing efforts, the creatures have now begun tearing Earth asunder. Remember the title of the second game in the series? Doom 2: Hell on Earth? Yeah, it's that. So naturally, UAC wants to pull a mundane Matt and cover up for their mistakes and shitty behavior. But how do they do that? Through propaganda, of course. And in this case, that comes in the form of a talking hologram that goes on and on and on while the Doomslayer slaughters countless demons without breathing a word. And it is through this hologram that we get the offensive joke in question. In the presentation I watched, the line was split up between the end of one gameplay clip and the start of another, with the developers talking in between. But the full line was, and I quote, "Remember, demon can be an offensive term. Refer to them as mortally challenged. Earth is the melting pot of the universe." Now, if you're like me, you probably thought that was a funny little jab at PC culture, especially the kind that replaces plain and simple language with increasingly complex euphemisms, as though changing what something is called changes what it actually is. Maybe I'm overthinking that. Anyway, the point is, most fans thought it was funny, or they just kind of shrugged it off. But not all of them, of course, or else I wouldn't be making this video. I'll get to why the outrage about this is stupid, but first, let's read through a few tweets about it to get an idea of what they're so mad about. Jane says, "So Doom's pathetic ass, the word demon is offensive joke doesn't even make sense canonically. They describe themselves as demons in the testaments in the last game. Doom Eternal looks so good otherwise. Like, all they need to do is change the voice clips." Okay, first of all, it's not the demons saying the word is offensive, it's the out-of-touch with reality corporate assholes known as the UAC. You would know that if you weren't out of touch with reality yourself. But also, they don't have to change a goddamn thing for you and your delicate little flower sensibilities. Either buy the game or don't, it's up to you. Seriously, whatever happened to people being responsible for what media they choose to consume? If it's a deal breaker for you, don't buy the game. If it isn't, then just fucking deal with it. Next one's a thread, so bear with me. "On one hand, I'm super excited by a lot of the things in the new Doom reveal, but I'm also kinda wary because a few of the jokes felt questionable. E.g. that hologram that said something like, 'Demon is an offensive term. Please refer to them as mortally challenged.' Like, you bet your ass the primal gamer part of my brain went wild when they showed the plasma gun and it looked a lot like the one from 1993 Doom. Ditto for having the old potion-like health bonus pickups. But also, God, please let this game not be aimed at gamers in that way." I'm gonna stop you right there. Saying, please don't let this game be aimed at gamers is fucking retarded no matter what way you meant it in. He goes on, "I've seen like one or a couple folks hypothesize that maybe the joke isn't haha SJW bad, but that the powerful people who'd benefit from the demonic apocalypse are laughably misappropriating woke language to frame the situation as not so bad. But I don't know." I do. That's exactly what the joke is. I don't know about the misappropriating woke language bit, and just saying those words makes me want to throw myself off of a cliff, but that's basically the joke. The UAC are a bunch of dumbasses, and they fucked the whole world up with their stupidity. Also, there doesn't need to be any haha SJW bad jokes, because social justice warriors like you do a fine job of making jokes of themselves. But wait, there's more, and it gets worse. Like, even if this explanation is true, and my more cynical, less naively optimistic side doubts that it is, I don't think that'll stop gamers from hearing the jokes and still being like, tee-hee, yes, I too hate the minorities, completely missing whatever the intended point is. Wow, fuck you and the pretentious purple prose pony you wrote in on. Gamers are gonna hear that joke and say, yeah, I hate minorities too. Really? Are you fucking insane? First of all, the demons are not not a minority. In case you haven't noticed, they outnumber fucking everyone. Secondly, there's quite a chasm of difference between hating someone just because they're physically different from you, as you suggest the game is doing, and hating an invading force of monsters that wants to kill you and conquer your world. Naively optimistic. Suck my naively optimistic dick, you pathetic moron. Last one here basically just quotes the line and then says, "No. No. No. I'm gonna need at least 3 more Wolfensteins to balance out how gross that line is." And then they go on to clarify, "Invoking the melting pot in the context of a demonic invasion for laughs? No, that's literally the kind of juxtaposition a Nazi salivates over." I agree. My favorite fondue restaurant should not be equated with demons. I went there for my birthday this year. It was nice. But seriously, think about this for a hot second. You're totally okay with killing Nazis in a video game. I am too, of course, but just think about it. Nazis are still human beings, and while they certainly did horrible things in real life and do horrible things in the Wolfenstein games, you have no way of knowing which ones are doing so simply because it's the only way they know how to survive under such a system, and which ones actually enjoy the sick shit they're doing to other people. And if you're talking about a video game, such nuance probably isn't even programmed in. But the point is, you're perfectly okay killing fictional humans who do horrible things, but you're not okay with doing the same thing to a demonic force of warmongering invaders who are literally not human and monsters. Or at the very least, you're offended by an offhand remark made by an NPC who you're not even supposed to like or pay much attention to. Seriously, those holograms are mostly just for background noise. If Doom Guy could smash something to make them shut up, he probably would. It's consistent with his character in the previous game. I think I've already laid out at least a good portion of my case for why being offended by this joke is stupid. The demons are an invading force that conquer and kill everything in their way until the Doomslayer shows up to kill them right back. So they're not sympathetic characters to begin with. Also, the UAC are the ones making these statements as a way to brush under the rug the fact that the demonic invasion of Earth is their fucking fault to begin with. So you're not really supposed to sympathize with them either. In fact, you're not supposed to sympathize with anything in these games. Your one and only mission is to go from point A to point B and kill every last demon you encounter along the way. And the only way in which the demons of Doom are comparable to any real-life immigrants is that they move from one place to another. But guess what? So does literally everything else! In order to be more appropriately comparable to something in the real world, you would have to come up with something like an invading force, preferably made up of a war-obsessed tribe like the Dothraki in Game of Thrones, or maybe like Vikings in real-life history. But the line in question isn't even the only thing the hologram said. In fact, the other lines said by the same hologram give more credence to my explanation about how it's just UAC putting out propaganda to cover up for their colossal mess. The first line you hear from it when the gameplay first starts is, "Please remain calm. You may notice a slight change in the environment," as the Doomslayer walks outside to a hellish landscape of fire and destruction. But the hologram says, "Fear not, it's all part of the plan." Then, later in the gameplay clip, it says, "My brothers and sisters, let's help to make our friends transition into their new world a comfortable one." Meanwhile, Doom Guy is doing just that by brutally murdering every demon in the room. So yeah, basically the hologram is just a PR machine for the UAC that you're not even really meant to focus on. It's just kind of an interesting thing going on in the background while you slaughter demons to your heart's content. You can take it or leave it, and like I said, I get the feeling the Doomslayer would much rather leave it and focus on killing demons. I hope this video explains why the outrage over that line of dialogue in the gameplay reveal is just fucking nitpicky bullshit. And if you're still offended by it and you think Doom is some allegory for illegal immigration made by some xenophobic Trump supporter, first, Google John Romero, but also maybe just don't play Doom. In my opinion, the game has too much balls for someone that easily offended. The main takeaway here is that the Doom games are badass and metal as fuck, and the new Doom Eternal gameplay reveal makes me so excited for it that the wait might actually kill me. But I hope it doesn't, because then I won't get to play it. But seriously, check out the Doom games if you haven't already. They're really fun gameplay-wise, and there's a surprising amount of story and lore that's actually pretty good. But it's not shoved in your face if you'd rather just mindlessly kill demons. It's entirely up to you how much of the backstory you want to pay attention to. But anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed me doing something a little little different by talking about one of my favorite video game series, but also keeping it familiar by still tying it in with social justice PC bullshit. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. I always appreciate that. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. I don't care, but the Doomslayer might. Anyway, if you enjoy my content, please make sure you're subscribed and click the bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Follow me on Twitter and BitChute. I upload my videos several hours early to the latter because fuck YouTube and their censorious bullshit. They may still get my content due to the sheer size of the platform and the amount of views and comments I get on there, as opposed to a smaller platform like BitChute, but they don't get it first because I have to make small rebellions where I can, no matter how inconsequential. But enough of my ranting about YouTube. If you really like my content and wish to support me making more of it, please consider doing so financially on Patreon. Any amount you can spare would be greatly appreciated, and I promise I won't spend it on hookers and booze. I might just use it to pre-order Doom Eternal. As always, thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time. Rip and tear!